Okay, just for fun, and I realize this isn't going to come out all that well on video, I'm going to compare a couple of prints. One done with traditional printing techniques, and the other done with a digital back-end, meaning film with a scanned image adjusted in digital tools and with inkjet output. And I'm just going to talk a bit about my experience with those two. And again, I'm going to say I am very inexperienced with wet printing. I did it a bit when I was like 17 or 18, and then I have about 3 hours of experience in modern times, and that was just a couple of months ago when I was fortunate enough to go to a friend's house that has a darkroom, and we printed one of my prints. So anyway, here's kind of what you do when you're in the optical and wet printing world. You create a bunch of test strips. This is actually 2 passes. I believe we made this pass first and did a print from this, and I think we chose the darkest one of these and then did a full print from that and came up with this result. Now on this print, this was a difficult print. First off, this is our Rolei Retro 80 is the film, and I'm pretty sure I processed it in Rodinal. It's my most commonly used film. It has pretty wide dynamic range. The background, the sky, was a bright cloudy sky, and the foreground down here was in deep shade, and there's some open shade in the middle, and then there's part of the reason I took the picture. There's bright sunlight on these rocks and these leaves. So this was our first attempt, and you can see the whites are blown, and that's to be expected. We've got to experiment in the wet printing world. At least that's my experience of it. So that didn't work out so well. We did another set of test strips and used a different filter value on these. I don't remember which way it went, to be honest. And these seemed to come out a little better, where over here the contrast was controlled a little better. And from those sets, or from those tests, we chose an exposure and got this print. Now this print's a lot better. You can see down here that we aren't blown out in the highlights. We are blown out in these highlights up here. So this print needed a lot more work. I could have maybe burned these in, which is, you know, you're kind of experimenting while you do the exposure when you're burning in. So we probably would have had to do that 3 or 4 times. It took about an hour and a half to make this substandard print for me, a beginner. So, you know, as you get better with it, I'm sure you are more efficient. Plus, this is at a friend's house, not at my house. So I don't really, I don't find it all that practical for me. My feet were killing me at the end of this night. We printed one of my friend's negatives and one of my negatives, and we were on our feet for 3 solid hours. And I left with a print that I probably wouldn't frame. So compare that to a print that I processed first, you know, digitally in Nik Silver Effects, and put some control into the highlights so that everything's not blown out. You see how the clouds are there? I burned those in, and you see how there's some detail in the shadow area here. I was able to dodge that digitally, and the highlight here, while not perfect, is looking pretty good. So, you know, I was able to do this in about a half hour sitting in my chair. Now, I'll go back and admit that this is a little like digital's not better, it's just more convenient, and I believe that. For me, digital back-end is not better necessarily than optical wet printing. It's a lot more convenient, and it's what I have. So I was also able to tone this. Toning is something that you can do in the wet darkroom as well, but yet it's yet another process with more work that goes into it. So I was able to get my typical split tone look with this and be happy, or fairly happy, with this print, as opposed to spending about an hour and a half on this one and leaving a little dissatisfied and thinking, oh my God, how long would it take to get a good print like this? So I just wanted to show that as an example. This is not attacking optical printing at all. As a matter of fact, I wish I had a wet darkroom, and I wish I had the time to spend in it.